Then there's the issue of input methods. There's some people who are keyboard only. They dread the trip to the mouse. It's all the way over there while my hands are here. Like it's simply too much effort. And so it's no surprise that the keyboard and the search are in the same column. It's the lazy, oh my god, if I just learned how to use the keyboard properly, I would never have to use the mouse again mindset. And I've called the other aside pointers to conflate the mouse, which is the mouse pointer, and what eventually will become touch. And yeah, it might be a good idea to elaborate a bit why I believe that pointer fits within the realistic category and keyboard in the idealism one, because you can see them as being more and less direct, more and less tangible, whereas the pointer is perhaps the most direct way of interacting with your applications and your needs, whereas on a keyboard you have to have the idea of a character which you then put into a keyboard, which translates it into a character and then an action on screen. So it's a conceptually a lot more indirect way of dealing with interacting with your computers. Yes, there's design, and there's the design dimension. You have the militant minimalists who want to just remove, reduce until there's nothing left, maybe just a search bar. And again, it's no surprise that minimalism and search are in the same column. Just think about google.com. What does it look like? There's nothing there. I think they have a rule, no more than 17 elements on the page at one given time. So even the what do you call it, like the commercials at the bottom, they have to remain within that limit. Exposed, that's short for feature exposed. That just means that you show functionality by giving them icons, by giving them menus, by surfacing features. Right, and the opposite of digitally native is the skeuomorphic school of thought, which is the imitation of physical, real-life objects and fabrics, materials in computing applications. Actually, I wanted to ask you, where do you think your ideal operating system would be? If you had to index along these 4 dimensions, where do you think your ideal OS would be? John?
Full idealism.
Full idealism?
Yeah.
Your search-based, keyboard, minimalism.
Dread the mouse. Look like a fancy computer, not a fancy organizer.
Right.
Okay, me too.
You too?
Me too, yeah.
Well, idealists? And anyone?
I currently use the awesome Windows menu.
Awesome, okay.
It's
So
really nice.
Yeah.
that's cool. He uses a tiled window manager,
Yeah.
which is it's a very interesting line of development. I like you too. So with great ASCII precision, I believe this to be where GNOME Shell more or less is at. There's a bit of a span because you can argue that some features favor one aspect over the other. But yeah, mostly search-based. It's going to be a lot more search-based as they remove the categorization, remove the menus even more. It's a bit schizophrenic on the input method, as keyboard is actually pretty fantastic. It's a bit problematic with touchscreens, but they claim that that's where they want to go, so that they can also be a tablet OS. Yeah, not really there yet. Maybe in the future. Yeah, it's as you've seen, it's really minimal. There's very few embellishments. if you go through all the threads where they complain about the design decision, it's that they're mostly because things aren't exposed. So yeah, it's all the way there. And well, for the design philosophy, it's almost as digitally native as you get. I was thinking like what stops it from being slammed in the corner? It's probably some rounded corners. But that's really the only thing that I could think of. So this is how it fits within those paradigms. But as you see, there's space. There's space on each side of each dimension for improvement. You can configure and tweak GNOME to bring it to either completely idealist, so as some people here claim to want, or perhaps there's a silent minority here who wishes to have a more realistic, realism-based interface. So how do we do that? How do we go about that? In general, this is where you start. It's the GNOME tweak tool. It's general tweaks. It's just talking about it here so that you at least know that it exists. But more interesting, I find, is undoing the idea that it's dumbed down and it's not configurable. And I'm going to show you examples of each dimension, each extreme, how you can pull it each way you want. This is done by GNOME shell extensions. If you're familiar with Firefox, they have the Mozilla Store. What is it called?
Add-ons.
Add-ons, yeah, Mozilla add-ons. It's really quite similar. If the internet was up and running properly, I could show you. It's a web interface where you just have a list of extensions. There's an on button where it switches on, it asks you to install it, and it's installed. It's that well integrated with GNOME, which is one of the key ideas of GNOME was to have the UI changeable and hackable by its users. So what did they do? They used the most commonly known and easily accessible languages for styling and behavior, which are part of the web stack, the JavaScript and CSS. And just think about like what this actually means for users. If you can build a website, you can change your OS. If you can change your OS with CSS and JavaScript, you don't need to recompile it. You don't need to somehow commit it to a repo, distribute it, install it with it. No, you can just do it locally, share those files if you need to, all on the fly.
So do you think the GUI of the OS